Hey guys, Troy here, back with another video today. If you see the title, the answer is finally here. Why haven't I been buying basketball cards lately? I genuinely feel bad that there hasn't been enough basketball card content on this channel. I love soccer cards, but basketball is my first, true love. As corny as that sounds, it really is. It's a huge part of my life, so I love basketball and I love basketball cards. That's what I grew up collecting. But if you follow this channel since about November, you've probably noticed that there's only been the occasional basketball card video or pickup. I still have been buying. The stuff is out there, I still talk about it, but really I look back, especially over what I've been doing over the last month, and it's really heavily soccer card focused. And in this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you why that's been the case. Why hasn't there been basketball content as a result of, me not picking up that much basketball stuff lately? There was and still is just insane growth opportunity in soccer, especially when I started investing heavily, so more back in November. And the other thing too about it is it was just stuff that I felt was so easy. And I shared it with you guys. Let's roll the clip of me talking about probably the easiest predictions there were. Messi and Ronaldo Prism and Mbappe Prism. This is not a true rookie, but I still think it's actually an important card in the soccer card market. The stabilization / plateau, nothing's ever 100%, but usually it's a pretty good sign that this is kind of like a bottom price. What's more likely? This card that was once over $4,000, that it goes from $400 to, let's just say, $1,000, or it goes from $400 to $100. I think it's a lot more likely it gets to $1,000. Even if it gets to 25%, guys, 25% of what its peak was, you're in a great position. Let's look at someone else. Let's look at Mbappe Prism. Once again, the same theory applies. What do I think is more likely? Is this Mbappe gonna go down to $200, or will it get back to $1,500, half of its previous peak? As you can see there, back in January, I was telling you guys pretty much exactly what happened. Messi at Prism now above $1,000, and Mbappe Prism as well, back pretty much right where I said, around that $1,500 mark. Now the point of that isn't just an I told you so, but I do have to say it was pretty good advice, so subscribe. This isn't a get rich quick channel, but just I'll pump myself a little bit there. But all jokes aside, seriously, it's just that stuff was so easy to see happening. There was such a large fall off, and Prism Soccer, Messi, Ronaldo, and Mbappe, I felt like it was just a matter of time. I was like, it's always gonna come back up. We've seen it to be true. And I just honestly felt like, for me, and also for the people watching, purely at least from an investing perspective, your money was best spent in soccer. And actually, if my heart wasn't so much in basketball and I didn't just enjoy the collecting aspect of it, I would have cashed out of almost everything and just put all my money into soccer. And as the charts and time has kind of shown, just once again, purely from an investing perspective, that would have been the right decision. Which kind of brings me into the part 2 of reason number 1. The growth opportunities in basketball were harder to find, and I did not see them there as much as I did in soccer, at least over these last couple months. Outside of the Nets, there really hasn't been that growth. KD, Kyrie, Harden, their stuff is going up because the Nets look really good right now, but that was always going to be a calculated risk. It could have just been easily KD comes back and he's not what we remember him as. He was coming off a major injury, a major layoff. The stuff of the GOATs, to be fair, LeBron went on a huge run, Curry went on a huge run, but that was, the high-end stuff. Outside of that, the growth hasn't really been there. Let's take, for instance, a look at Luka Doncic's graph. Granted, a million disclaimers. He's played really well, but he had a ton of expectations. You could make the argument he's overpriced. The Mavs aren't doing that great, but it's a similar trend with almost every player. Let's just take a look at his graph for a second. You see that sharp rise at, in the November, December zone, where I had a feeling I kind of stopped talking about it because I was like, I feel like we're at a little bit of a peak here, even with these guys I really believe in, like Luka. Since then, just a downward trend. Another guy, let's take Jason Tatum. Has his flaws as well. The Celtics haven't looked great, but didn't have the hype of Luka. I mean, he's a great young player, continuing to play well, will be relevant in the playoff. Again, you see that gradual decline with him. And the last chart, for fear of being too boring, there have been certain players who have been kind of able to buck the trend. Let's take, for instance, a look at Donovan Mitchell. But I mean, how much better of a season could you hope for from a card investing perspective than you got from Donovan Mitchell? Jazz are number one. He's playing insane. He was already ridiculously undervalued. That's if you checked all the boxes, you predicted everything right, you ran the numbers, and even then, his growth has been solid, but definitely not extraordinary. And we are a little bit spoiled in the soccer card market, but those are the two things I'm comparing. Reason number two is a little bit similar to reason number one, part two, but as I kind of alluded to, I saw this market correction coming, especially with some of the younger guys. There was so much over speculation. I think if you look back and you really think about it, people were desperately looking for people to find. Who's Prism rookie can I buy? Is Rui Hachimura gonna break out? Is he good value? I remember I talked about it a ton on the channel. On Star Stock, his Prism base Star Stock A was around $60 at one point for Rui Hachimura. Nothing personal against him, but once I saw that, I literally said in the video, I was like visibly frustrated. I said, guys, I can't do it anymore. I know you want to see the content, but I just cannot in good faith even show myself, let alone tell people to buy or advise people to buy, me buying this card. So I saw that market correction coming, and time has proved it to be the case. Take a look. Sorry, I've got to have another chart, but I'm coming with facts today. Rui Hachimura, what happened to him since that period? An even sharper decline. At least with Luka, you'll be all right, and he'll still trend up over time. I was just super hesitant because the last thing I want to do on this channel is steer people wrong. I said, if I even mention Rui Hachimura, people could lose 60% of their money, and I would just hate to see that happen. And reason number three, with more of a specific focus on my channel, I want to give you guys ideas and potential opportunities that I feel really confident about. And in basketball, with the over speculation, with the fact that I had a feeling, it works like that in every sport. It starts off really hot and it kind of trends slowly downwards towards the middle of the season. I was like, man, there's nothing I can really talk about here. There aren't opportunities that are getting me excited at this point. And that's not to say there haven't been opportunities over the last couple months. I think they've been limited, but they have been there. The problem is they've been really tough to find, and you have to act quickly. For instance, the trade deadline, that was an opportunity. But I'll share one, for instance, that I kind of wish I had gotten into. Aaron Gordon, his cards have, doubled, at least up 50% since he got traded to the Denver Nuggets. The problem with that was a couple things. First, you had to be really thinking, kind of in the know. As soon as his name was like out in public reports like Woj and stuff like that he was potentially going to get traded, it was too late. That's how efficient the basketball card market is right now. That stuff had already flown up. So to be fair, I was like, I should have known. I think that's something I maybe could have shared on the channel. But once again, it's tough because, as I've mentioned with a ton of these non-stars in the NBA, you're investing into a depreciating asset. Their charts are headed towards zero. That's the stuff I talk about all the time. And you can kind of catch it in that dip, but you just have to, be really on it and move quickly. So that was kind of a convoluted way to talk about it. But I guess just to compare all that stuff with Aaron Gordon, you take into account to make a profit of, 50%. Versus how little thought and how straightforward it was to kind of see, for instance, the Messi Prism increase coming. That's just kind of illustrates why my attention has been elsewhere for the last couple months. Now, with that being said though, I feel like finally now, there are starting to be some great opportunities in the basketball card market. Playoffs are coming up. I've mentioned it before, but I think we will see that increase coming soon. So the point of this video is not to say we're not talking about basketball cards on this channel anymore. Let me be very clear. That's not the case. I just wanted to be transparent with you guys, and especially for some of the OG subscribers, I felt like some people might be interested why they haven't heard as much about it on the channel lately. But once again, I'm excited to be bringing back some more basketball card content starting soon. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and we're gonna keep the videos coming. Thanks again.